Show me.
Hello everyone, I'm the Martial Arts Film Freak, and welcome to Kung Fu Essential, the series where I pick a martial arts actor or director and introduce you to 5 films that I believe are essential to get acquainted with not just the actor, but the Kung Fu genre as a whole. Whether you are a long-time fan or someone just looking to get into Kung Fu cinema, this series is for you. For this episode, we are talking about perhaps the most famous name in the world. No, not Mickey Mouse, Mario, or Batman. This person has been making kung fu movies for around 50 years and has wowed multiple generations with incredible fight scenes and absolutely terrifying stunts. We are, of course, talking about Jackie Chan.
Perfect.
Just as we did in the first episode, we are going to start from the very beginning. Jackie Chan was born on April 7th, 1954 in Hong Kong. His parents are Charles and Lily Chan, and if you are in need of a totally insane story, then I highly recommend looking into their lives. They both lived very crazy lives before Jackie was born. This includes espionage, underworld crime, fleeing mainland China during the communist takeover. Hell, his parents met when his father arrested his mother. But we should get back to Jackie. At age 7, Jackie's father took a job as the head cook at the American Embassy in Australia, but his parents thought that it would be best for Jackie if he stayed in Hong Kong. So like Donnie Yen in our last episode, his parents sent him to boarding school. Only by boarding school, I mean the Chinese Drama Academy. This was a Peking opera school run by Master Yu Jim Yuan. Now, Peking Opera School isn't just a drama school that you may find here in America. Peking Opera School is a world-class academy where children are trained in traditional Chinese opera, singing, stagecraft, martial arts, and extremely difficult acrobatics. They trained from 5 a.m. to midnight, and if you messed up, you were typically punished with harsh physical abuse. According to Jackie Chan himself, he was beaten almost every single day. But it was here in Peking Opera School where the 3 dragons came together. 2 of Jackie's classmates, arguably brothers, were Sammo Hung and Yuan Biao. The 3 would become some of the biggest movie stars in Hong Kong and starred in 6 incredible films together. While in school, the 3 were actually part of the 7 Little Fortunes, which also contained quite a few future kung fu stars. Let's finally transition to his film career, which started as a stuntman in the 60s into the 70s, famously performing as a stuntman in Fist of Fury and Enter the Dragon. However, pretty much every Hong Kong stuntman was in Enter the Dragon, including Sammo Hung and Yuan Biao. In 1976, Jackie became an actual leading man as the industry started to see him as the next Bruce Lee. Almost literally. In the span of 3 years, Jackie made 14 movies, and only about 3 of them are actually any good. However, one of them is our first essential film, 1978's Drunken Master. Drunken Master was directed by Yuen Wu-ping and stars Jackie Chan, Yuan Xiu-tin, Huang Jiang-li, and Cao Lam. Jackie plays Wong Fei-hung, a Chinese folk hero, as the son of a kung fu master who can't get his act together. That's putting it lightly. He's a piece of shit. He has a few moments of morality, but for the most part, for most of this movie, he's an asshole. Since Jackie is so disrespectful, his father calls upon someone to take him away for a year, training him in martial arts and teaching him discipline. In my opinion, Drunken Master is one of the key kung fu classics. When people talk about kung fu classic films, they talk about stuff like One-Armed Swordsman, Enter the Dragon, 36 Chamber of Shaolin, 5 Deadly Venoms, and Drunken Master. It's simply a must-watch of the kung fu genre. This is the movie where Jackie Chan truly started to define his style and who he was as a performer. The comedy, the acrobatics, the being the guy who got hurt and had to work his way up from the bottom in every fight. Something that you'll see a lot in kung fu movies is a lot of goofy elements. The goofy character with the giant mole, the goofy character with buck teeth are just two easy examples that are very obvious in this movie. The goofiness can get a bit annoying, and I also just remembered that at one point a character gets his face shoved in poop, so, the jokes don't hold up as well as the fight scenes. But Drunken Master makes drunken boxing feel magical. In other movies, drunken boxing is just another style. But when Sohai begins to teach Jackie, it is absolutely beautiful. The way the movement is filmed plus the music makes drunken boxing feel mystical and perfectly sets it up as just this ultimate style. As I said, Jackie had been a leading man for a few years, but if you want to see Jackie Chan coming out of his shell and beginning his meteoric rise in Hong Kong, then it is essential that you watch Drunken Master. After Drunken Master, Jackie kept making hits with spiritual kung fu and even started directing his own movies with Fearless Hyena and Young Master. He tried his luck in Hollywood before returning to Hong Kong with the excellent Dragon Lord, and soon followed up by partnering up with his Peking Opera School brothers Sammo Hung and Yuen Biao in Winners and Sinners and Project A, as well as our next essential film, 1984's Wheels on Meals. Wheels on Meals was directed by Sammo Hung and stars Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yuen Biao, Benny the Jet Urquidez, Keith Vitale, and Lola Forner. In the film, Jackie and Yuen are martial arts training, skateboarding food truck vendors who help Private Eye Sammo solve a mystery and... God, yeah, none of that matters. Wheels on Meals is essential for one reason and one reason only. Jackie versus Benny Urquidez. I recently rewatched this movie with everythingaction.com for a commentary over on that website, and we were surprised in remembering how much of that movie is just fodder. Nothing happens at all in that movie. It is actually a testament to the last act that it actually manages to make the movie mostly watchable. The final fight between Jackie and Benny is 7 minutes of perfection. Their fight is the perfect blend of realism and Hong Kong flair. An incomprehensible combination of acrobatics and full contact martial arts as Jackie and Benny give it everything they've got. Everything leading up to the final act is a whole bunch of nothing, and I really don't recommend this often, but when you watch this, maybe just scroll through your phone for a bit and just look up every time you hear something that sounds remotely like action. Sammo and Yuen also get to see some action in fights that are definitely worth watching, but Wheels on Meals is pretty much the Jackie and Benny show. The two also have another incredible battle in another Three Dragons film called Dragons Forever, and Many would definitely argue that that fight scene is better than this one, and probably even that movie is better than this one, but for me, their first round fight belongs on the essential list. And unfortunately, I'm only allowing myself one Three Dragons film per essential video. Watch Wheels on Meals. It isn't perfect. Hell, it isn't very good. But that final fight is one of the greatest fight scenes ever. Following Wheels on Meals, Jackie kept working with the Three Dragons and even gave Hollywood another try in the awkwardly violent The Protector. And in 1985, he made the essential Jackie Chan film with Police Story. Police Story was directed by Jackie Chan and Chi Hua Chen and stars Jackie Chan, Bridget Lin, Maggie Cheung, and a good fair few more people. Jackie plays a hero cop trying to put away a dastardly criminal who also frames him for the murder of another cop. Police Story is a near perfect action movie. It has absolutely everything that made Jackie Chan an international superstar. You could take someone who has never heard of Jackie Chan, which is nigh impossible. I'm talking lives under a rock. I'm talking a full-on Encino Man situation. And you need one movie that sums up his style and who he is to introduce that person to Jackie Chan. Police Story is without a doubt that movie. If you want some of the very best stunts, Police Story has them. If you want incredible fight scenes, I'm talking some of the best fight scenes, Police Story is filled to the brim. And if you want a fun comedy, well, Police Story is pretty damn funny. Jackie Chan is the master at making something fun and funny without losing the tension of the overall story, and Police Story is probably the brightest example of that. In the final act, Jackie is given an entire mall to play with, where he puts together stunning fights where he and his crew are performing some of the most death-defying stunts you're going to see in any movie. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention the pole slide where Jackie burned most of the skin off of his hands before just destroying his pelvis on the ground. There isn't much else that I could say that I haven't already said about this movie. I do have a review for this movie on the channel, as well as a video ranking all of the Police Story films. Police Story is one of the most influential action movies of all time, and even the movies that have dared to copy it have not even come close to reaching its greatness. For the next essential film, we are headed into the 90s. In the 80s, Jackie truly took off and became a force of nature, and his momentum did not slow down into the next decade. However, shortly after Police Story, Jackie suffered an injury while making Armor of God. Jackie cracked his skull open on a stunt gone completely wrong. Thankfully, Jackie made a full recovery, but he did decide to start making some changes to the way he made movies, which really was just like slowing down on a bit of the stunts, but having seen a lot of his movies post-head injury, yeah, he really didn't slow down that much. His films did get more diverse headed into the 90s, as he did a dark crime drama as well as a cartoony anime-inspired comedy, all in the same year before also making a movie that somehow is up for debate as his greatest movie ever, like against Police Story. And that is 1994's The Legend of Drunken Master. Essentially the sequel to the first film on this list, The Legend of Drunken Master was directed by the legendary Lau Kar-leung and somewhat Jackie Chan. It's complicated. The movie has an incredible cast with Jackie Chan, Anita Mui, T. Lung, Felix Wong, Lau Kar-leung himself, and Ken Lo as the villain. Ken Lo was a martial arts champion as well as Jackie's own bodyguard. And, when you're someone as tough as Jackie Chan and you have a bodyguard, yeah, that bodyguard, probably shouldn't fuck with him. Also, another villain in the movie is played by Ho Sung Pak, who may not look familiar, but he is Liu Kang in the first two Mortal Kombat games. Jackie again plays Wong Fei Hung as he disappoints his father every time he does drunken boxing. Fei Hung eventually joins a movement to stop a group who are stealing Chinese relics and exporting them out of the country. I'm not sure if I'm going to take some flack from the Kung Fu diehards when I say this, but Legend of Drunken Master has the best drunken boxing in it, in my humble opinion. Better than the first film, better than Heroes of the East, better than Ong Bak 2, True Legend, Drunken Tai Chi, anything. This one has the best. There is going to be someone who has seen the most obscure Hong Kong classics who are going to tell me I'm wrong. Let them, I don't care. Jackie Chan's skill in martial arts, comedy, and acrobatics blends into the absolute spectacle that is this movie. There isn't a dull moment to be had, as even when there isn't any action on screen, the cast keeps the movie completely interesting. Anita Mui is a delight. Every fight scene offers something incredible, but the final fight scene is one of Jackie Chan's craziest feats and is maybe the greatest example of Jackie's hyper-meticulous tendencies. Jackie is nothing if not a perfectionist, and he proved that here, as this fight scene reportedly took about 4 months to shoot. Compare this to The Raid, where the very, very good final fight scene from that movie took about a week, and a lot of even Scott Adkins' best fight scenes were done within a day or two, if not just a couple of hours. In the time that most people could have made 7 movies, Jackie made a 7-minute fight scene. A fight scene that holds up to any movie from any country from any decade. Okay, just one more spot and there's still so many movies, like Rumble in the Bronx, Who Am I, New Police Story, Little Big Soldier. God, this is beyond difficult, but I'm going to give the 5th essential spot to 1999's Gorgeous. Gorgeous was directed by Vincent Koch and stars Jackie, Chi Shu, Tony Leung, Emil Chow, and Brad Allen. Gorgeous is about a young woman in Taiwan who receives a love letter in a bottle and follows it back to Hong Kong. She meets a millionaire guy played by Jackie Chan, and I don't know, he's got like a rival who he has to deal with, while at the same time he's like falling in love with Chi Shu. I mean, the story's fine, but it's not why I'm picking it as an essential Jackie Chan film. It's also pretty funny, but again, that's not why I'm picking it. Gorgeous is essential because I believe that it has the last great one-on-one fight that Jackie Chan was ever a part of. There are some very good fight scenes in his later movies. New Police Story is definitely one that comes to mind. I know a lot of people really like Forbidden Kingdom, but the final 2 fight scenes of Gorgeous are spectacular. In Gorgeous, Jackie takes on Brad Allen, who is a member of his stunt team at the time. They have 2 fight scenes, both of them are brilliantly paced, and the story told throughout both, the psychology, is some of my favorite in any of Jackie Chan's fights. But Gorgeous also has 2 comedy fight scenes throughout the movie before we get to the serious stuff, and they're also very fun, cool scenes. The second one I enjoy the most because we got a bunch of baseball bats and the choreography is just all spinny and fun, and anyone's gonna enjoy it. That is an enjoyable fight scene. It is so difficult to narrow Jackie Chan's career down to 5 films, and especially after the first 4. I mean, the first 4 films are ones that I am pretty solid on, except for maybe Wheels on Meals, because god damn, that movie is boring. But once you get to like one more film and his career still has 25 or so years on it, whenever I think of all of his movies, none of them hold up to the final 2 fight scenes of Gorgeous. And it's not like the fights are all that this movie has going for it. It is a fun enough story, it's light and breezy and easy to get through, and the characters for the most part are a lot of fun, you know, even though one of the characters is definitely just a stereotype. You are not going to be bored with this movie, as the sort of nice distribution of light and serious action is definitely a great change of pace from some of his earlier work. The fights between Jackie and Brad Allen are, as the film is called, gorgeous. So there you go. 5 movies that I believe are essential to get acquainted with not just Jackie Chan, but the Kung Fu genre entirely. If you are new to Kung Fu, then let me know if you are going to check these movies out, and if you have seen them, then what do you think? What would be your 5 essential Jackie Chan films? Let me know in the comment section down below, and don't forget to like and share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Head over to Facebook, where you can also now like and follow Martial Arts Film Freak over there. There is a Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.